over the years, there's been a lot of agitation to see more young people contribute to national development through active participation in the political process. And we've seen responses by some of the political parties to make forms available at cheaper rates to encourage more young people to buy forms. Some have even gone a step further to field young candidates. And we've even seen the government at state and federal level appoint some young people into very prominent positions, whether as heads of agencies, ministries, or even ministerial positions. Now, questions still continue to come up on how effective are these young leaders in politics? What is hindering sometimes their successes? And what can be done to ensure that more young people are able to be a part of the political process? Now, joining me for this conversation is Opeyemi Oke, who is a public analyst. Welcome to Rubbin Minds.
Thank you for having me.
And we also have Femi Emmanuel, who's a social commentator. Glad to have you on Rubbin Minds.
Thank you for having me.
So I'll start with Opeyemi, and I just want you to make a case. A lot of times, the older politicians will say, okay, you want young people in politics. Why? What's so important? What do they bring to the table that an older politician doesn't have? What's the case for having young people serve in government?
I mean, thank you very much. Young people, I mean, for a country that has a population of over 60% young people under the age of 18, and I mean, if you look at us as a continent as well, we're a very young continent in terms of demography. So the young people bring the energy, they bring the innovation, and of course they are, they become, strategic partners in designing a future, both for themselves that they're going to be a part of, and of course for the generation to come. So there is a much more like a deep bench, like a proper transitioning system of government, not of the existing corrupt government that we have, or of course corruption we have within the system right now. But of course we see that the involvement of young people, we have better access to education, you have innovation, we have the energy, we have the vigor. At the core of the success of any government today, even in Nigeria as it stands, if you look at the back end, you see a lot of young people strategizing, strong young people, at the core of they are the brain box of the government. So why not give, the platform for them to also learn through the ropes so that we can have a smoother transition into the development we want to see, from generation to generation. So I think that it's critical. It is very important for us to have young people be involved in designing policies or in building the future that they are going to be a part of, and of course for their children as well.
Femi, I see you nodding your head. You agree? Are there other points for young people to play an active role in the political process?
I agree with my friend brother Opeyemi. What I would love to add again is I think the major reason why in the continent at the moment there's a clamor for younger people to be active in leadership and politics is because it's obvious that the populists are fed up of the same set of people ruling us. And even when they try to throw new names, you find out that there's still an affiliation to the old set of people who have been clamoring, who have been ruling in different disguise. And the only way to probably shut down that outrage that may actually happen someday is to pick one or two from those energy-driven majority that are the ones that are demanding at the moment. That's number one. Number two, most times looking at the state government level, there's this cordiality to an extent with the student union governments of most of the institutionally based politics on campus. And if they don't find a way to bring them in, even though I'm not still satisfied with most of them being comfortable with just being SSAs and the like.
We'll still get to that part of the conversation. Yeah. I'll move to you now, Opeyemi. And you've already touched on it. Thank you, Femi. My next question, which are some of the specific challenges that young politicians face, like you attributed like some form of godfatherism, godmotherism, someone playing actively behind the scenes, and just a few young people that actually make it. So I'd like you to comment on that.
Thank you, Isabella. You see, when we talk about young people in politics, a lot of times we relegate it to just elective positions, right? I mean, I ran for House of Assembly in the last general elections, and as a 36-year-old man, I mean, was trying to, I mean, I want to be involved in the rebuilding process of my country. I want to also get involved in policy and decision making. The hurdles I had to cross in terms of godfatherism, in terms of understanding the structure. I didn't win. I didn't even clinch my party ticket, but I learned. And one of the things I understand is that for me, I've joined partisan politics like a very long time, right? But I still understand that, see, in the Nigerian political system, see, money and godfatherism are the two major barriers into young people's involvement in elective positions. However, I think that one of the core lessons that I think I learned from, my participation in last general election is that, see, we cannot take away the place of understanding, especially if you want to run with, these very, prominent and major political parties. We can't take away the importance of learning the ropes. You can't take away the importance of learning and, getting proper mentorship. I'm not saying godfatherism, getting proper mentorship, getting involved with them at the ward level, at the grassroots level, get to know your people and let your people know you. Except you have a father, who has maybe served, like you said earlier, or like my brother said earlier, that has served and maybe they said, okay, let's reward your father this time. You can go, you can have this ticket, right? Yeah. So, but if we gauge it from the elective position, see, money and that political structure has become a major bottleneck, for young people to emerge. But in the elective, in the appointment position, we're improving as a country. If you look at, the number of, the involvement of young people in politics and decision making in terms of appointment into strategic offices in Lagos State today, it is amazing. If you look at it in Oyo State, is amazing. In Kaduna State, when El Rufai was there, it was good. And of course, under Tinubu now, we see young people also emerging. Our current Minister for Youth is younger than 35. And it's encouraging to begin to see that, of course, one way or the other, even within the complexity of the political structure, we are finding our ways.
I hear you very clearly, Okpeyemi, but my question to you, Femi, has to do with examples, because on the one hand, you're saying that there's a place for mentorship, there's a place for growth, there's a place for paying your dues, and these things take time, right? You can't just go maybe 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 and jump right in. But I'm sure there are examples, and that's my question to you, of where we've had young people take up significant roles, whether by appointment or by election. And even in Nigeria, we've had young leaders who have become presidents, who have ruled this country. So there are examples, but maybe educate us on some examples that you know of locally as well as globally.
Okay, I will start with the likes of Professor Patutomi. He joined government as a very young person rather. But you see, what was obtainable then is different with what is obtainable now. And that's why I agree with my brother, that you have to really, you can't turn away from mentorship. Some people call it godfatherism, but you see, there's a structure. And it is difficult to actually climb up if you don't really belong to that structure. I'll give you a good instance. Bello El Rufai's son is doing well in the House of Representatives. I've taken time to observe the projects he's involved with, the initiative. In fact, he's even the chairman for the Committee on Banking and Finance. He's doing so well, but no one would have if not for his father's influence, or probably for his father's name, let me use that, no one would probably have assumed that someone as young as that would probably be able to do wonderful. I'll give another instance in the cabinet, the president's cabinet. Olubimi, the Minister for Interior, you will agree with every Nigerian, irrespective of party affiliation, will agree that Olubimi Ojo is doing wonderfully well. So,
okay, I'll move to you, Okpeyemi, and I want to go back to your experience, because it's obvious that your father is not a politician or your grandfather is not a politician. You don't have a name that you can go and use to your advantage. So what happens to young people like you that want to run for office? Young people like you that want to be appointed into these roles, that don't have the political connections, don't have political mentors or godfathers, godmothers, whatever you call them. People that just have a heart for nation building and for Nigeria.
You know, my father actually, funny enough, is a politician. I mean, was even my party's chairman for a long time.
So your
You
father
know,
was a
oh, I mean,
politician,
a
and you
politician,
couldn't
and yet I
use
couldn't
that.
even use the influence to
Interesting.
clinch the ticket
Wow.
because in my party I belong to. Okay, in my party, there is a structure of growth. There is a structure of the way they call it. Say, go and join queue. That's the way it is. They tell you go and join queue, go and learn through the ropes, right? In a way, it stifles the level of the quality of leadership that we are able to produce when we are looking beyond when we're not looking beyond our set rules within the party structure to start looking for people that are innovative and are passionate to deliver good governance to the people, right? However, one of the things I tell people, one of the things I learned from my own experience is that if you want to go into elective political office, start early.
Mm.
All right, start early. Let the people know you. The people knew my father. Of course, they knew me. I was a party volunteer at 18, right? I joined political party in 1999, right? That was when I began to volunteer. As of 2001, I was a volunteer driver, for the Action Congress, before it became the Action Congress of Nigeria, and of course to the current APC, right? So there is a need for us to integrate yourself in the political system is very important. If you look at people like Yahya Bello, I mean, and young people that they've somewhat gauged us with as young people to call us incompetent, you realize that most of these people they were not, I would say they were accidental leaders, but there are people who are so passionate, who are about nation building. What I can advise is 2027 is coming. Even if you have not started, you are late. You need to actually get back, learn through the ropes, submit yourself to the party structure, let them know you at the ward level, and of course, let your leaders know you, and you'll be surprised. And the crux
It's
of
interesting that you mentioned Yahya Bello,
yeah,
and it's important that we balance this conversation because there are young people who have gotten into government, and sometimes we have seen something that is not desirable. For example, you also have what happened during the week, the issue with the rep member and the driver of a ride-hailing app. And I mean that's just wrong. Like that is someone that started politics at a young age, but you've now seen this person grow into someone that is now abusing the powers of the office that he possesses. So when we have these kind of examples like Yahya Bello, like this person, what does it say about having young people in government?
You see, three things are very important: the messenger, the method, and the message. Now, the messenger is who Nigerians criticize the most. That is who is running for office or who is probably in office, like the Yahya Bello and this other honorable from the House of Representatives that you just mentioned. That probably I will mention more. Dimeji Bankole from Ogun State, who was speaker, was
Yes.
probably 38 as at then. I can mention more names of young people that make so many people feel that even if they give more of us opportunities, we may not. But the point is this: the messenger, the message, and the method. Now, you see, the messenger, we all have our flaws as human. To some, it may be anger management. To some, it may be communication defective. There is no human that does not probably have his own defects. But you see, what people won't tolerate is actually now the method, which is one of the things we've not been able to hijack. That's where the party machinery comes in. That's where probably the name of the Godfather that rings a bell. I forgot to mention that I also tried out politics. I've been in politics since 8 years, and even though when you buy form and you participate in the primaries, they won't tell you that you probably not imagine. You think it's going to be free and fair. But see, you have to queue, like he said, because there are people that has actually been promised probably 20 years ago that they didn't get it, and they'll probably compensate the parent or something. So now my point is this. Let me round off on that. I talked about the messenger, I talked about the method, and I talked about the message. Everyone always have a message of hope, which is probably their manifesto. And in Nigeria right now, it's probably too difficult to believe anyone because of your message only. But you see, the messenger himself, which now has to do with how he talked about volunteering, how much of your ability to actually enhance resources, strategic thinking, strategic partnership. Some of us didn't know about this earlier enough.
Okay, my final question will be to you, Okoyemi, about the need for real democracy at a party level. Because if you're not going to allow this person to win or to participate in a free and fair election at the primaries, why are you selling them a form?
You see, that's why it is democracy, right? I agree that there needs to be improved internal party democracies across all political parties. There has to be, no doubt about that. However, I'd like to also say, as we see the likes of Yahya Bello and every other people, or the other, young person that has failed in their capacity, I think it is high time we also started spotlighting some of these young people that are doing incredibly well. You can see the work this lady, the Commissioner for Agriculture in Lagos State, is doing, Olusoya Busola. You can see the work Mobolaji Bankole, Mukola Jogunlede, the current Commissioner for Youth of Lagos State, is doing. I'm privileged to be close to the Federal House of Representatives based on policy advisory. I go into the room, I see young people in their 30s. I see Sesi Winga of Badagry. I see Mukhtar Shagaya of Kwara State. I see the son of Akala, LMJ. I see them in the room. I see the quality of conversations they're having. I see the quality of bills they are presenting. And I'm impressed, for the future.
Yes.
However,
sorry, Okoyemi, I have to come in there because that's all we can take. We're now out of time. Thank you, Okoyemi and Femi Emmanuel, for your contributions on Rubbin Minds.
Thank you very much, Isabella. Thank you for having us.
We'll go on a quick break. Stay with us.